Okay, so um, you've sent over this compilation of P. Diddy interviews, and wow, it's wild, really, to go back and watch these interviews with everything that's come out recently. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're looking at a completely different person. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, take that 73 Questions with Vogue piece. He's all about, like, love and compassion.
Right.
And now it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough to reconcile that image with the allegations. Makes you wonder, like, what else don't we see behind the, I don't know, behind the curtain, I guess.
It's like, remember that interview, I think it was with Conan O'Brien back in 2002? He was almost bragging about needing locks on the doors at his parties.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Back then, it was just Diddy being Diddy, right? But now it's like, whoa.
It definitely takes on a different meaning. Like, were those jokes or
Ah.
something more?
I mean, he practically predicts his own legal troubles in that Entertainment Tonight interview from '01. Says the authorities might try to arrest him just for trying to have a good time.
There's a fine line between being, the life of the party and being reckless.
It's that whole do as I say, not as I do thing. And it's easy to get caught up in the persona.
Totally. It's easy to forget that what we see is often a carefully crafted image.
Okay, so how do we become more aware, more critical, I guess, of what we're seeing and hearing from these public figures?
Well, I think it starts with paying attention to the details. Not just what's being said, but how. The body language, the tone, those little things can often reveal more than words.
So we're talking like analyzing their every move.
Not exactly analyzing, but being more aware. Like, remember that interview he did with Mike Tyson?
Oh, yeah, on the Keenan Ivory weigh-in show.
He seemed a little too comfortable getting handsy with Tyson.
Yeah, and Tyson looked visibly uncomfortable.
Right. Now, that alone might not mean much. But when you start to see a pattern of this kind of behavior, it's worth noting.
So we're looking for patterns.
Oh.
Okay. What else?
It's also important to think about the power dynamics at play. Like, in an interview setting, there's a clear power imbalance between, say, a talk show host and a guest like Diddy.
Because he's Diddy.
Right. He's bringing the star power. He knows he's got a certain image to maintain, and that can affect how he answers questions, how he presents himself.
So it's almost like we're being asked to buy into a performance.
In a way, yes. And knowing that can help us be more discerning viewers, more critical thinkers.
Makes you think about all the other interviews out there, all those carefully crafted narratives.
Exactly. It's a good reminder to question what we see and hear, to look beyond the surface. Because the truth, well, it's often much more complicated.
It's kind of like a magic trick almost.
Yeah.
You see the glitz, the glam, but the mechanics of it all, the how and the why, that's hidden.
Yeah, and sometimes those mechanics are pretty revealing. Like, take that Jimmy Kimmel interview. Diddy's reaction to those rumors about Will Smith and Jada and Jennifer Lopez.
Oh, man, that was awkward.
Total train wreck, right. But it's a masterclass in deflection. Like, watch his face when Kimmel brings it up.
He goes stone cold serious, like, don't even go there.
Exactly. And then, like a switch, he's laughing it off, name-dropping Denzel Washington, trying to make it this funny anecdote.
But it felt so forced.
Right. Like, if you're going to deny it, just deny it. All that extra stuff just makes you more suspicious.
Totally. Like, he doth protest too much.
Exactly. And it plays into that power dynamic we were talking about.
How so?
Think about it. Diddy's this huge star, right? He's got this image to protect. He's not going to just spill the tea on national TV.
So what's he supposed to do?
It's tricky, right? But it's a good reminder that these interviews are rarely spontaneous, off-the-cuff moments. There's an agenda, even if it's unspoken.
And we, the viewers, we're kind of complicit in that, aren't we? We want the juicy gossip, but we also want to believe the best of these people we idolize.
Yeah, it's a weird balance, and it makes me think about that Chris Brown interview on Ellen.
Oh, man, that one was tough to watch. Even back then, it felt tone deaf.
Yeah, Diddy going on Ellen and offering up his Miami mansion for Chris Brown and Rihanna to, like, work things out. After everything that had happened, it was a lot.
It felt like he was minimizing what Brown had done. Like it was just a little spat between friends.
And that's the danger, right? When someone with Diddy's platform downplays or normalizes that kind of behavior, it sends a message, whether intentional or not.
And it makes you wonder about his own judgment, especially in light of everything that's come out about him.
Absolutely. It adds another layer to the story, doesn't it? Makes you question what he really stood for, what he was willing to overlook.
So we've got this dissonance between his public persona and these allegations. We've got these power dynamics at play. Where does that leave Diddy now? What happens to his career, his legacy? So we've got this dissonance between his public persona and these allegations. We've got these power dynamics at play. Where does that leave Diddy now? What happens to his career, his legacy?
It's the question, right? Can he come back from this? Or is this the beginning of the end for Diddy, at least as we know him?
Because we've seen celebrities try to bounce back from scandals before, but this feels different.
It's different now. The public, especially younger generations, there's less tolerance for this kind of
It's
stuff.
like back in the day, a carefully worded apology, maybe a big donation to a charity, and boom, all forgiven.
Right, exactly. But the standards have changed. People are demanding more. Accountability, transparency, real change, not just lip service.
And social media amplifies all of that. It's not just the tabloids anymore. It's everyone with a platform.
Yeah, there's really nowhere to hide. And these interview clips you dug up, they kind of take on a new life of their own in this context.
It's like they were always there, these little hints, but we weren't really paying attention. Or maybe we didn't want to see them.
I think that's a big part of it. We want to believe the best of the people we admire, you know?
For sure. But it's a good reminder that we can't just blindly accept what we're told, especially by people in positions of power.
Exactly. We have to be willing to ask tough questions, challenge our own assumptions, and hold people accountable.
So what's the takeaway here? What can we learn from this whole deep dive into Diddy's past and the accusations against him?
I think, for me, it's a reminder that image and reality are often two very different things, and that fame and fortune don't excuse bad behavior.
Well said.
Yeah.
And that we, as consumers of media, have a responsibility to be more discerning, more critical in how we engage with all of it.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been a lot to unpack, a lot to think about for sure.
Definitely.
To our listeners out there, we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on all of this? Have your perceptions of P. Diddy changed? Hit us up on social media and let's keep the conversation going.